Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 306 of Meet the Farmers. I am your host, Ben Eagle. Today on the show, we are heading to North Cornwall, and I am joined by James Warwick, who farms beef and sheep, and he has a particular interest in South Devon cattle. He's currently running about 350 to 400 or so ewes with the sheep, but it all started with his grandparents' herd of South Devons. We will hear the link with his grandparents and how James came down to Cornwall as we go on. But he's also really keen on documenting his farming life through social media. He works on another farm down the road. Looking forward to hearing a little bit more about his farming journey and his farming life. James Warwick, welcome to Meet the Farmers. Let's start with the farm first of all. Give us a bit of an intro to it in terms of your sheep, your cattle, what you've got going on, and what the farm itself looks like.
Farm just outside Bude in North Cornwall, and we're farming about 160, 170 acres. 120 of that is owned, and then we rent a little bit quite close to the farm, and then a few odd bits here, there, and everywhere. Running sort of 350 ewes at the minute, but we'd quite like to push that up to 400 in for the autumn tupping season, and then running 30 pedigree South Devon cows this year, which is a big jump for us because we've doubled the herd in the last 12 months. So it's a different. Wow. We've seen a massive difference in the amount of grass that's being eaten by the cows from going from 15 to 30. So it's takes a bit of getting used to.
Yeah, talk us through that decision on why to expand so much, in comparatively speaking, and so at that time.
So it was always wanted to keep a few more cows. Beef price, as you're probably aware, is very, very good at the minute.
It's been pretty good.
It's been fantastic. That was a bit more of an incentive to push forward with the sucklers. It's a very slow process and a very slow game with keeping sucklers. Them being pedigree helps. We sell a few bulls every year, and that sort of helps to keep the sucklers moving forward. But I just love me cows. They're just fantastic to be around. They're a very docile, quiet, and gentle breed. They just do fantastically well off of a grass-based diet. And what with feed costs being quite high these days, it was sort of like, well, I want to try and do a bit more off a grass-based diet for the cows and for the sheep. We've gone away from an early lambing system as well to a more grass-based finish system in the sheep as well.
Okay, that's interesting. You said finding land here, there, and everywhere as well. That's definitely it's a thing I hear a lot in Cornwall generally. But maybe it's the way the land works down there. But
it's just take every bit where you can get it. Yeah.
What's that process been like? Have you found in terms of access to land and finding land?
Difficult. It's not easy. It's not easy to find big chunks of land these days. It's like the days of trying to find 50 or 60 acres to sort of rent in one block is very, very difficult to find. But there's a lot of people that are down here that it's amazing. They move away from a busier life in a town somewhere, and they want to buy quite a remote sort of area that's got sort of 5 to 10 acres, and they don't want the work or the worry of livestock, but they like to see them outside their back window every day. And it's amazing how many people you sort of speak to and get to know that way. And they're like, oh, could you bring a box full of sheep out, or could you cut it for hay and that? And it's amazing what you pick up like that.
Let's go back to your roots and talk a bit about your story, because you're actually from Cambridgeshire originally. Your parents weren't farmers; they're not farmers, but it was your grandparents who bought the farm in Cornwall. Tell us about the beginnings of that story, perhaps your life before farming, and the time that you spent with your grandparents and how you got the farming bug.
Yeah, so Nan and Grandad's moved down to where we are now when I was about three. So it was just in around the foot and mouth time. Can just about remember it. And yeah, every chance I got from that age, I was coming down school holidays, weekends, stuff like that, and just yeah, grew up around the cows especially, and just loved the farming life. And yeah, and then when I was 19, I made the move permanent, which was a bit daunting. I didn't know very many people down here. Um, just yeah, I spent a lot of time with Nan and Grandad, which was nice, but at the same time, I could have yeah done with a bunch of my own friends my own age to sort of hang around with. But yeah, meeting new
Yeah.
people took a bit of time, but Young Farmers was fantastic for that. Yeah, I think I joined Young Farmers the year after I moved down. Um, and yeah, we're nearly 10 years on, and I've got a very very good circle of friends. Things are very very well. Not every day is good, like a lot of farmers would agree with me. But yeah, I love the life I've got. I'm very very fortunate. Um, but I wouldn't change any of it.
Yeah, but it was definitely committing to that decision, was it? And that's a big thing. Because when you're 19, moving to a completely different place at the other side of the country, leaving everyone you knew, leaving your friends, that's
It
a
was
big thing.
terrifying. Oh yeah, it was terrifying. I suffer with quite bad anxiety at times, and it was like, oh, do I or don't I do this? But it was it almost sounds really cringy and cheesy to say, but it was my love of farming that made me the dream that I wanted to farm down here,
Yeah.
and that was yeah, and the the lifestyle I've got now suits me so much better than what it did up in Cambridgeshire.
Yeah. Did you have any farming friends when you were in Cambridgeshire?
Um, yeah, so I went to college in Bedfordshire. I went to Shotworth College, and
Oh, okay.
I done a few years there studying horticulture, but I got quite friendly with some of the agriculture lads there. Um, but it wasn't really sort because I was on a different course. It was yeah, just it wasn't. I wasn't best of friends with them. It was sort of like yeah, you got to know him just because of college and that. But it was very because of where college was. It was a very sort of arable. It's a Bedfordshire, Cambridgeshire area is very arable based, and it wasn't my cup of tea. I like me stock more than I do my tractors and my machinery
Yeah.
and that. And don't get me wrong, I love a nice new shiny bit of kit in the yard at time to time, but my love for my stock is greater. And yeah,
Yeah. So what were your grandparents doing when they came down? You said that they came down round about the period of foot and mouth. What did they buy? What did they do with it? What did it look like?
so they bought an 88 acre farm, and for well, yeah, probably nearly 20 years rented half the farm out, because they didn't want the work and the the stress of running the whole farm. Then, if that makes sense, they wanted just to keep a few cows. We've got two holiday lets on the farm, which they rented out for an extra bit of income. We sort of kept sort of 15 to 18 South Devon cows. I say they did. And yeah, and we rented the rest of the farm out. Obviously, with foot and mouth, they couldn't. Grandad had a small herd of Hereford Friesians when he was up country.
Okay.
But then when he moved down here and foot and mouth sort of quietened down and cleared off, it was like right, I want to try and buy something that's got a little bit more presence. And South Devon being the biggest native breed, he found that quite impressive. And just the fact that they're very, very milky cows, and he just wanted something very similar to a Hereford Friesian, basically.
Yeah, and clearly you've fallen for South Devons. Tell us a little bit about the breed and why you like them so much.
Just they're they're a very, very quiet, docile breed. They're very easy to be around. Um, Temperament is a massive thing. Obviously, I still work with my grandparents alongside me, so we don't want anything too outright, or right out, I should say. When Grandad's in the yards, calving time can be a bit difficult with sort of flighty animals like that. So having a quiet cow that you can half trust, you don't want to go and trust all of them because they are very maternal. But just yeah, they're very, very docile, and they like this time of year they they just look fantastic out in the field. And yeah, everyone always comments on how nice the cows look when they come down the lane, for a visit or whatever. They come down to drop something off. They always say, "Oh, the cows look very, very well in the field." And yeah, it's nice to hear.
Yeah. And in terms of working with your grandparents, alongside your grandparents, and sort of that transition as well, you've obviously been there down there 10 years now. So how has that worked over time?
It's not been easy at times. Um, there's a very big split between generations. So there's 50 years between me and Grandad,
Yeah.
which I mean I'm in a very fortunate position that I'm running the farm at my age. Not many people would be able to say that they do that in this day and age. But with that comes a lot of pressure and responsibility. Um, Nan and Grandad don't want the worry of pushing forward anymore. Whereas I'm at the time of my life where I want to keep pushing and make a future for myself.
Hmm.
Um, which is can be difficult at times.
Yeah. Because you've also been working on another farm locally, haven't you? Was that been since the beginning of when you came down, or has that been a more of a recent thing?
Yes. So I took an apprenticeship out when I started an apprenticeship when I first moved down here, which again gave me a lot of contacts for meeting new people and stuff. And the family that I worked for them up until about 18 months ago. And yeah, they were fantastic to me. They looked after me, and I learned so much there. We never had any sheep until I moved down permanently, and everything that I learned, um, that I know now today with the sheep is because of that family farm that I worked on. And yeah, it just they helped me a lot. I learned a lot, and it's helped me be the farmer that I am now.
Mm, fantastic. Um, let's talk about sheep for a little bit. When did you have that crazy little idea that you thought, you know what this
Oh
farm needs? I need
yeah,
some
yeah,
sheep because I'm not
yeah.
doing enough with my life. So
No,
I
yeah,
need to get some sheep in my life.
yeah. The sheep. I always say to people, the sheep pay the bills. It's a quick return, and that's what I have to think when we have really bad days on the farm. I think no, they help keep the cash flow coming in, and yeah. But it was we started with, I think it was like 15 ewe lambs. We bought 15 Dorset ewe lambs. Didn't know anything about sheep. Thought they looked nice, and yeah, and then ended up running the Dorsets up to nearly 200, which we lambed all of them through the winter, sort of December, January time, which was incredibly hard work. We are a very, very wet farm, and feeding baby lambs in the middle of January, February time at 4 to 6, 8 weeks old is incredibly tough on not just the sheep, but on me.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were running an early bunch of 200 Dorset ewes through January, and then would lamb another 100, 150 in March. Um, and then yeah, last year I sort of took the decision to say no, I'm going to lamb just one bunch of sheep, lamb them in April, lamb them outside. And there's still a lot to learn and a lot to improve on from this year's lambing. But overall, it was very, very successful. I mean, the weather was fantastic, but input costs were seriously reduced by not having to feed them so much lamb creep, straw in the sheds. stuff like that. So it's just, and it goes back to me wanting to try and finish everything on a grass-based diet as well. Is
Mm. You're clearly, and it's coming across already. You're clearly very ambitious with expansion plans and what you want to do, and you want to do everything yesterday.
ambitious or stupid? I don't know. Yeah, or just impatient, maybe. Yeah.
But I mean, on that, where what is your end goal? Where do you want to get to, or perhaps not an end goal, but what's sort of the next thing on your list, as it were?
It's a job. It's a job to know, really, because it's. And I was listening to your podcast you done with Sophie a few weeks ago, and it's knowing when enough is enough is enough, and or before it becomes too much, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're running 100 and sort of 60 to 70 acres now, which is just predominantly me. Obviously, my partner Alicia is here, but she goes off out to work 5 days a week, and she's here weekends. But during the week, it is just predominantly me. Just I would really sort of like to get to the point where we're sort of running a steady 400 ewes and possibly push up to 35, 40 cows, maybe. We got to 30 cows and it was like, well, yeah, it's not so bad. It's been quite nice this year. And 30 ewes, 30 cows with 300 ewes sounded quite nice. And now I want to push to 400 ewes and try and push to 40 cows. It sounds just as nice, doesn't it? So, maybe. But before we push on any further than that, we've probably got to put up another shed to house the cattle in the winter. The sheds, we built a sheep shed just before COVID, and that shed has been fantastic. But we've not put any other buildings up since Nan and Grandad moved here. So a lot of the sheds that we've got now are getting tired. So we're going to need to do something that's a little bit more modern, replace some of these sheds that are looking a bit tired. That's probably the next biggest investment, is to put up a better, more suited cattle shed for ourselves.
Yeah, which, dare I say it, to you means borrowing money, but you're in it for the long run.
Yeah. It's a scary game, borrowing a lot of money. It's not talked about enough. The financial worries that farmers have, rightly or wrongly, I'm probably too open about money and stuff like that. It's a very, very frightening topic to say, I want to go and borrow. 100,000 doesn't get you anywhere these days, really, does it? It's you want to put in a decent sized cattle shed, and 100,000 don't go anywhere. And I'm not talking that maybe 50 to 100,000 to do it properly, but that is still a frightening amount of money to sort of think that you need to invest on top of everything else that you've got going on and that. But yeah, it definitely needs talking about and thinking about properly before we go off and do something like that.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that it's a topic that isn't talked enough about. And actually, when I was doing some digging in the research for this interview, I went back and found a piece that you wrote in Farmer's Guardian, actually, back in 2023. And you said in that, farming would be easy if it weren't for the worry of money. I wonder if you can just expand a little bit more on that.
Everything boils down to money at the end of the day, and that is life, isn't it? But the weather, I know everyone says the weather is a massive factor in that, but with it, that still boils down to money at the end of the day as well, doesn't it? It's you have a really bad harvest because of the weather. Well, that you don't get as much money for that, do you? And poor lamb prices, poor beef prices at times, milk price. It's that is the biggest factor and the biggest worry for me personally. And it's almost like sometimes, like, people feel embarrassed when they feel like they can't talk about it. they get worried because they've got bills outstanding, but they can't pay them because they've perhaps not sent a box full of lambs or something to help keep that cash flow moving. I was always told that cash flow is king to
Oh, yes.
everything, and you've got to have a constant flow to because your bills just keep coming, they just keep flowing in, and you need to try and find something to sell every month to keep that part moving as well.
It's one of the key things, isn't it? On a broader level, if you think of Clarkson's farm, for example, and the conversations that people who aren't connected with farming at all, haven't really been thinking about this before. Definitely, I think one thing that show has done very well at is showing the financial side. And actually, I think, and actually getting across that idea that farming isn't all about millionaires and roses.
No.
There's a whole other side to it, isn't there? But at the same time, there would be a lot of people who would watch that and think, well, why do you do it? I suppose that's the next question. Why do you do it?
That's just, well, the reason that it brought me down here to farmers, because I love it. I love everything about it. Yes, like I said, not every day is easy. Every day is different though. And yeah, it's just to be my own boss as well I love the fact that I'm my own boss and that, but I love everything about it. Seeing the cows grazing happily in the field, the first time that you put the mower on in the spring or the summer, and you take that first cut of grass and you get out of the tractor to check your crop, and you smell the grass, and you wake up on a nice dewy autumnal morning, and it's really crisp and fresh, and just stupid things like that. You just you drive around on the bike in the morning and think, oh yeah, this is fantastic. I don't think that quite so much in the winter when it's pouring down with rain and I've got all my overalls on and it's like all my waterproofs, and it's like, why do I do this? I really don't like this. But yeah, summertime is fantastic.
The spring will come. Summer will come.
Yeah, too right. Yeah.
You've been pretty open about the mental strain that farming can bring in the past. I just wondered if you could talk about that and why, from your point of view, I suppose, why it's important to have honest conversations about mental health and agriculture, but also I'm interested in your perspective of, I think we do hear a lot more about it, but do you think those messages are getting through? Do you think it's actually improving the situation in terms of people feeling comfortable enough to talk?
I don't think people feel, not everyone, I'm not talking for everyone, I don't think a lot of people feel comfortable talking about their struggles. But it's definitely more spoken about now than what it was, say, maybe 5 years ago. Me and my friends, my closest friends, we've all been there. We've all been through something struggle wise in life, and we've always pulled together. And that, if no one takes anything from this podcast, the one thing that I would want you to take from it is, if you are struggling, you speak. Like, no one is ever going to judge you for reaching out and going, I'm really struggling. The amount of times that me or my friends have said, we've just picked the phone up and just gone, I'm struggling. And we go, okay, right. So let's talk. And I've always got time for that. Like, you could be the busiest person in the world, and yeah, someone would phone up and say, I'm not doing good. I'm not okay. And I'd go, right, okay, let's talk about it. And sometimes all you need is just a conversation about something, and just a problem shared is a problem halved. And yeah, I sometimes when you've spoken to someone and just rabbled on for 15, 20 minutes about a certain something that you could be struggling with, sometimes you get off the phone and feel like, well, yeah, I needed to do that. And yeah, well, like I say, I've got such a good circle of friends that I'm very, very lucky to have. And yeah, I should probably get taking the mickey out of now if any of my friends listen to this and go, oh, you're so sorry, pull yourself together. But it's true. You cannot beat having a really good circle of friends. And just like, family as well. Your family aren't going to judge you. They're the only people in the world that are not going to judge you for being completely honest. Um, but yeah, if that's one thing that someone can take away from this podcast is just open up. But there's so many good charities as well, isn't there? There's FCN, there's RABI, which are fantastic charities that do fantastic things for people that are struggling mentally. And they can offer all kinds of support, can't they? So there's a lot more resources out there now than what there was, say, maybe 5 to 10 years ago.
Just looking ahead, I suppose we've had a little bit of a reflection on where you want to go and what you want to do. I mean, firstly, I suppose, do you see yourself staying and farming in Cornwall for a whole career? Would you want to? Do you see yourself as sort of moving about to a different farm? Do you have an open future? What do you want to do?
Yeah, the farm that I live on now is very much home. It's where I've always seen myself be and stay probably for the rest of my life. I don't think I would want to move away further up the country or that. Maybe somewhere in and around Cornwall still. There's a lot of lovely farms around in Devon and Cornwall. But yeah, it goes back to like talking about money and stuff. The fear and the strain and stress of moving a farm and buying a new farm would terrify me. It's a dream worth having. But yeah, for the moment, it's push forward at home here. But yeah, I love where I live, and we're 5 minutes from the sea. And it's a lovely area to be in, and yeah, I wouldn't want to live anywhere else really.
Yeah, it's a good answer actually, and it's true. The reality of starting a new farm from scratch. If there is, just a shout out to you, if there is anyone out there who's listening who has recently bought a farm or has recently started renting a farm and is starting from scratch, I'd really like to hear from you. Or if you know of someone and want to silently nominate them, can you just contact me on socials or send me an email to ben@ruralpubmedia.co.uk. That would be really interesting. Well, we'll do a bit on challenges and opportunities, and then we'll wrap up. Like we said, you're a young, ambitious farmer in Cornwall. You see a future in the industry. You're planning for the long term. In terms of challenges and opportunities, where do you see your sort of future path sitting with those two labels?
Biggest challenge, I would think, going forward now is inheritance tax. That is frightening not just me, but a lot of farmers around the country. That is probably going to be the biggest challenge going forward if it goes through. It's worrying, and yeah, we should need to try and come up with some sort of plan with how we're going to go forward with these changes.
Yeah, because I'm assuming in your case, your grandparents currently own the whole farm, right?
Yeah. So I'm in partnership with Grandad for the business. So the livestock and the machinery and everything that's on the farm is 50-50 split. But the farm is the land and everything is still very much in Nan and Grandad's name. So yeah, that's probably going to be the biggest challenge and biggest worry. Ambitions probably just to keep doing what we're doing, but there's always something to improve on, isn't there? There's the quality of stock, the way you run your business, margins in the business. It's doing stuff well, but making better margins and keeping better stock is probably the biggest ambition that I've got at the minute.
I'm going to ask the final questions that I ask everybody who comes on the show. The first is, James, what would your message to the public be if you had any message?
To support British agriculture, buy British where you can, and support British farmers. Yeah, it's a difficult industry to be in, but yeah, support is and buying British produce is everything to us.
And a message to your fellow farmers.
So it just goes back to what we were saying a minute ago: is don't suffer in silence. It's like I say, it's difficult, but everyone's in the same. We're all in it together. And yeah, you're never alone.
That's a great message to leave it on. James, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been really inspiring. I say that's just hearing your story of your early determination, your interest in the industry, and clearly your passion for moving things forward as well.
Thank you very much, Ben. It's been a pleasure.
Right. That is it for today. A huge thank you to my guest, James Warwick, for coming on the show. Thank you also for listening or watching this on YouTube as well. If you don't already subscribe to the show, please hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. We have episodes every week. Next time, we're going to be in Australia. And I'm going to be joined by Tara from Tara Farms. But for now, I'm Ben Eagle. This has been Meet the Farmers, and thank you very much for listening.